Welcome to the Executive Room podcast, where we delve deep into the minds of remarkable executives who have shaped the business world with their ideas and actions. I'm your host, Kimberly Afonso, CEO and founder of the KA Consulting Group, and today we have a truly extraordinary guest with us, Anthony Dusovic. Anthony currently serves as president at Tomorrow Water, a South Korean-based clean tech company specializing in cutting edge biological treatment, biosolids, and organic waste to value recovery technologies. His career journey has been marked by diverse roles across the water industry, including CEO of a disinfection technologies company, Ozonia, and in utility services. He led the Capital Investment Group and later the Federal Services Division at Suez Utilities in North America. He founded ASND Advisory to assist startups and investors in developing and executing growth plans. Anthony's expertise spans business development, strategic planning, creative value creation, operational excellence, and business transformation, all contributing to the growth and success of various organizations. Overall, Anthony contributes his track record of growth and value creation in the clean tech and utility services sector to building and leading strong teams, turning strategy into actions, and business management by the numbers. Join us as we delve into Anthony's remarkable journey today, and let's get started. So, thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us, and congratulations on being selected to design and deliver a wastewater treatment solution for the significant solar panel manufacturing facility. This project represents a major investment in the U.S. solar industry and has been described as the largest solar investment in the U.S. history by President Biden. Can you tell us more about the specific challenges and goals of this project and how Tomorrow Water plans to address them?
Sure. Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate the invitation to be on your podcast. It's really my pleasure to speak to you. So our client is a top global green energy solutions provider. They make some of the highest quality solar panels and cells in the world. They really and truly pride themselves on their commitment to ESG responsibility. They had challenges, but their goals were really big. So first of all, I'll start with their goals. Number one, they needed to get production up and running as quickly as possible here in the United States. Demand was just going through the roof. Number two, they're a very demanding client. They're an ESG type solutions company. They accept no shortcut to their core values. They needed strict adherence to the compliance with local regulations. And they also wanted to phase in a water reuse process into the facility that wasn't designed in before. So there was a couple of challenges there that were competing. The speed versus the ever-growing demands and requirements they had. So we had a bunch of challenges as we embarked on the project. First of all, we started without a clear picture of the discharge requirements by the local authorities. They were changing some things. They were in the mode of increasing some regulations and so on as this facility was being built. So we started with a bit of unknown in that regard. Again, the super aggressive schedule was really key for the client. They are a manufacturer first and foremost, and they can't get their solutions to people. They can't help contribute to the green economy unless they get solar panels on roofs and in fields and so on. So they also had a need for a really cost-effective approach to start production, even if the permanent plant was not ready to go. So the bottom line is the deadline for production was what it was. There was a multi-billion-dollar facility being built, which included water, wastewater, processed water. And at the end of the day, they were going to get production going one way or another, and they expected companies like ours to come up with some innovative solutions on how can we get a plant running even if the plant isn't fully complete, which included things like temporary equipment, maybe a novel way to introduce equipment and phase equipment into the field and so on. So based on all this criteria and the back and forth with the client, they looked at us as the company that they believe was highly innovative. So our solution they felt was really good on a technical basis and on a construction and implementation basis, if I could say that. We really showed our willingness to work progressively with this client, even though there's various unknowns. We're in a risk mitigation business, and often as engineers, we look at risks and go, well, if we don't understand it, how can we price it and how can we deliver it? But we decided, we're going to work with this client on a progressive design build type team effort, come in with our best ideas and work out, with the schedule, of course, ringing to the back of our minds, work out, how can we get this thing done for our client? And of course, price, as in every business, is one of the drivers. So can we do this in money can solve any problem, but can we do it in a cost-effective way? And we believe we achieved that, and we were selected by the client. We also, offer something that's, a little bit different, let's say. We're a technology provider, we're a solutions integrator, we are research folks, we are just, we understand our technology, soup to nuts. So we also offer to operate this client's plant. Who better to operate it efficiently, most efficiently, than basically the guys who designed it, and the guys who helped it put it in place, and the guys who understand exactly what parameters you can change and facilitate to make it run most efficiently. So in that regard, we're still in process with this project. It's really an exciting one. It's moving at a very, very high speed. Our teams are just having a great time doing it. And we'll be excited to talk a little bit about when it comes online, and maybe we'll get on another podcast and talk about lessons learned at some point.
That would be great, Anthony, and thank you for sharing that great story. So, moving to sustainability, how does Tomorrow Water's involvement in sustainability and environmental solutions align with this milestone?
That is a great question. So let me start first with just a note of congratulations to my team. We only started offering industrial solution projects to our clients just a little over 2 years ago. I mean, this is a flagship project for us. We're very excited about it. It's our largest customer, if I could say, on a specific project basis. But it's not more important than the 5 projects we're working on, in the last 2 years, which we picked up across a variety of segments, be it food and beverage, be it microelectronics, be it, of course, solar manufacturing and automotive and a few others. So we really pride ourselves in being kind of in the forefront of what's important. So EV, that's another area. We're going to kick off a project very soon. Um, but when we talk about sustainability and environmental solutions and how it aligns to us as a company, our vision statement is simple. It's innovation beyond waste. We don't just talk about waste as treating water or treating solids or treating residuals. We really look for waste across the board. You can add efficiency to that statement, I guess, if you will. But you know, is there wasted land? Are your solutions compact? Is there wasted energy? Is there wasted chemical? Is there wasted manpower? We look across the board and say, how can we provide the most value for our clients in that regard? So, one of the things that really, and it's a bit personal, but it's in our business core. The U.S., we've lost a lot of manufacturing capacity. It had economic downturn issues. Um, it has other implications as well. Are we really buying products that are made in the most sustainable way? Do we have any control over the products we buy when they're basically concentrated in certain areas and you really don't have much choice? So we feel bringing sustainable manufacturing back to the U.S. is a core principle. And that extends across the world. But right now we're focused on, our home market of Korea into the U.S. and then we're going to expand outward from there. But, you know, we also think that this will give the consumer really assurances that they're not just contributing to products made under unknown circumstances. They do have a choice, and they could buy something where they know where it's made. It's made locally, perhaps by their neighbor, and that's really important to us.
That local feel as well, I think that's so important, based on what you said for your customers, Anthony. And in a recent press release, you mentioned the importance of strict environmental compliance for production wastewater streams. Could you share some insights into the innovative technologies or approaches Tomorrow Water is employing to ensure compliance while maintaining cost effectiveness?
Sure, absolutely. You have to look at us from the point of view of kind of where are our roots? Where did we come from? So, our technologies were all born in Korea. As you know, South Korea is a major, major industrial and manufacturing powerhouse. They realized they needed to act quickly and in a very responsible manner in terms of improving the environmental conditions of the country, as they grew so quickly. It's always hard, you're always playing catch up, right? You have a boom in economic growth, a boom in production, and all of a sudden you realize you have the tail end issues that you forgot about, environmental concerns, water treatment, discharges, and so on. Um, so our technologies, it's only natural they were designed to address the constraints of that particular fast-growing industrial giant. They've got, what are their real issues? They're a small landmass. They really value small and local livestock farming, which has its own issues in terms of waste and disposal as well. So it creates other issues. And at that small scale, it's hard to deal with on an individual basis, right? So how do you deal with hard to treat livestock waste? And that's really where the company was born back in the middle 90s. So, and it's also a country that has to import a large percentage of its energy. So it's really only natural that the technologies we developed in Korea, they address the issues there, space, energy, operational efficiency. And you know what? Those are issues that resound everywhere in the world these days. America used to be this great big landmass, and guess what? Um, other parts of the world as well. We've got urbanization. We've got people, centered around cities. If you look at some of our plants in Korea, Seoul, which has grown dramatically, the plant used to be kind of in the outskirts of the city, now it's surrounded. So how do you deal with that issue? So, if you base the value of all these things combined, the whole question of cost efficiency just becomes kind of a natural result. And I'll share one example. We have a process called Draco, which is a thermal hydrolysis process. It was designed to basically deal with basically breakdown of animal carcasses and animal wastes, which are very hard to treat. And that makes a very, very efficient process, one that's, how should I say, compared to other technologies in a similar space, it's smaller, it's more economical, and it treats to a bit of a higher efficiency with a little bit less energy usage, for example.
What an innovative technology. So much to be learned about your industry, Anthony. So thank you for sharing that. And one of the hottest topics in the past year has been the sustainability of data centers. It's something we see in the news all of the time. Tomorrow Water CoFlow campus represents a novel approach to co-locating data centers with wastewater treatment plants. Can you explain how this concept works and the efficiency benefits of it? And do you think this could help change people's attitudes towards technology versus sustainability?
Yeah, let me start with the second point first. I think technology and sustainability absolutely go hand in hand, right? I mean, we develop technologies. We could develop them in a way that, factor in other concerns as well. We're kind of beyond the old, industrial revolution. We're into industry 4.0 now, where we have to take all things into consideration. So, the data center is just an example. It's probably one of the largest water requirements and energy power as well as we go forward, be it with, industrial IoT, be it AI, and all these things are just requiring so much power intensity. Around the world, people don't have water, but everybody has one of these. And one of these things takes a data center, and millions of them take, millions and millions of megawatts of power and gallons of water. So, our vision is to kind of erase the concept of a wastewater treatment plant or a water reclamation facility or whatever they call them these days. We see the CoFlow campus more like a production facility, a factory, kind of a value creator, not a consumer. Traditional wastewater treatment is that. You take your dirty water, you process it through something, you discharge it back to the environment, it comes back around and around again. So if you look at a couple of the plants we have at large scale in Korea, specifically there's one in Jungnam and one in Seonam, again in the outskirts of Seoul, which take care of the greater area. You don't really see a wastewater treatment facility. You see a museum, you see a park, you see people riding their bicycles, a playground for kids. It's really an open space for the public to enjoy. These were old once, the old-fashioned, fenced-in, ugly industrial type plants. Um, and now they're public resources. So if you think about that, the CoFlow campus itself represents kind of an expansion of this concept, along with others. So you've got the traditional wastewater treatment. Now we have a resource in wastewater, which number one, there's enough resource and energy in wastewater that it could theoretically run itself if you harness the energy. Number two, these things take up space and land. So if we have treatment technology that are smaller and you freed up space and land, um, can we think about what could be brought on that piece of land that pretty much the taxpayer pays for and owns to bring in an additional source of revenue? So why not a data center? Because a data center needs a place to land, they need the water, and are willing to pay for the things that they need. So why not bring this as a resource and a revenue stream back that can offset taxes and can help improve the situation of cities and municipalities? So that's kind of the whole concept in a nutshell. We've got some patent pending with a partner company of ours around the heat exchange between the wastewater as well as the data center needs. And we've got the technologies around reducing footprint, generating biogas, green energy, and things like that. So, that's kind of a big vision project. It's not going to be done in a day. It's step by step. We're in discussions with some of the major technology companies about, how can we do a form of this? It may not be everything at once, but it may be a stepwise fashion. And the facts are, years ago, tech companies, did not um, what's the word I'm looking for here? Really didn't talk about how much water was used in their processes. Now they've made big commitments to net zero, and those commitments are coming up fast. And it's time for them to do something, look at something in a different way. We kind of call this, not just a technology solving a problem, but a kind of a radical collaboration effort that solves a problem, right? Public, private, industry, taxpayer, everybody coming together to say, how can we look at this problem in a way we haven't looked at it before, or even take elements of things we have looked at before and come up with something different. Now, I think one of the challenges in our industry have been the kind of, we're the big environmental firm, we're the big company, we know how to do it all, we do it all, we go it alone. I think in the future that can't be the case. The case has got to be we got to bring the best and brightest forward to solve these problems because they're too big. Um, that's it in a nutshell. It's about creating a facility. It's about unlocking resources, energy, data, land, revenue, all these things into one place, and really creating value for society.
And a great way, as you said, about focusing on radical collaboration. So, as an industry insider, Anthony, are there any upcoming trends or breakthroughs in wastewater innovation that you are particularly excited about or that you think will shape the industry?
I think that's, yes, absolutely, I do. I think, code flow is kind of a culmination of a series of things and technologies that will help shape it. But, you could break those things apart too and apply them to more traditional areas. So, for example, there's a couple of areas we think we're set to make really big contributions. One is typical wastewater treatment. There's a new trend towards what we call process intensification technologies. How can we get more from less? How can we do treatment that we've done in the past with, of course, and I know it's a repeating theme, but less space, less energy, less chemical consumption, maybe less manpower, less operational difficulties, and so on. One of the things that we all know, and these are facts, right? We've got urbanization growing all across the world. So when I look at our technologies, I don't think about the U.S. only. We think about can we solve problems everywhere around the world, especially with areas that are really, really lacking in resources, right? So you've got increased storm events, and the U.S had one of the most advanced, infrastructures in the world. Well, that infrastructure is really aging now. I think we all know that, the American Society of Engineers does a scorecard every couple of years on our infrastructure, and we had this, you know, I guess you can call it proud moment where we went up to a C minus from a D plus in the last go around. So that's not that impressive. The bottom line is there's way too much to be done, and it's going to need a big, huge collaborative effort to get there. So if you look at existing technologies around wastewater treatment, for example, we have a product called Proteus, which shrinks primary treatment by up to 80%. In terms of collaboration, we're bringing across a product line or a technology called B-Flow, which is an AGS, and I won't bore you with all the technical details, but it's a technology which solves the same problems around biological treatment, secondary treatment, So footprint, energy, chemical consumption. So now you've got plants that can increase capacity, handle bigger weather events, and do it at a much smaller footprint and a much lower cost. So can we help solve these problems in a more efficient way? It's not just about finding the latest and greatest, newest, never been done before treatment process. It's about how do you apply these processes in a way that hasn't been applied before. So now, in the traditional wastewater space, just to tie it all back together, you've created more space and can handle more capacity. Why not attract that data center or other user, to come back in and lease that land or have some kind of other public-private partnership to create more revenue sources? So that's one big area where we're focused on. And again, it's not a go it alone. It's really working closely with partners as well to get that done. I think another area where I'm personally really excited about, and it's one of the reasons I joined this company a couple of years ago, is this opportunity we have on organic waste to value. More and more we're seeing a trend toward banning organic waste from landfills. Of course, hauling away biosolids and all this stuff is getting very expensive. But also there's also a lot of shutdown of incinerators because those treatments aren't very attractive in terms of air quality and so on. So what do you do with all this organic food waste that we have here? Um, we all know that these wastes are full of resources, sources of energy, biogas, hydrogen, soil amendments, fertilizers, compost, you name it. So we look at our portfolio of technologies as really a great fit. We have a product called Draco, which is our thermal hydrolysis process. We've got an anaerobic digester, which we call our AAD, and our Animox technologies. They're really perfectly suited as the core technology around this waste to energy space. They also solve the problem of reducing energy, reducing footprint, reducing consumption, and so on. So, we don't do all these things alone, so we stop at producing biogas and we create partnerships where we're weak. So we've created a partnership with a company called Recarbon, which takes the biogas and transforms it into the useful products that can be used. We could spend years doing it on our own, but why should we when there's companies that exist and can do that with us as a team? Um, our B-flow technology we're bringing from Europe. We recently signed an um, uh, we recently signed a partnership and agreement with a Belgian company called Jean Cockerell, who's way ahead of us on developing their technology. So we're bringing that and licensing in here. And Europe is well ahead of the U.S. in terms of biogas and what we're talking about in terms of green energy. So they're licensing our Draco as well. I mean, it's a way to basically get the products out there, the right products for the right market to the right people. And again, it's not about us making the absolute bare, every penny of the pocket. It's about us trying to help solve the problems of the world in a quickly and more efficient manner.
So many great industry insights there. Thank you for that, Anthony. So, in this rapidly evolving business world, how do you stay agile as a leader and how do you encourage innovation within your company?
That is a great question. So I think, part of it is about always being willing to learn something and always acknowledging that there is more to learn, even though you've learned over the years. Having been in this industry for over 25 years, um, you get to a certain point, and one thing, what I see personally is that we've got a huge, we call it the graying of our industry, where we have people who aren't coming into it as much, but are leaving, in the next 10 to 15 years. So how do we learn to engage with the generation of people that we don't really engage with every day? If I even go to our conferences and all of our industry associations, there's a slight change, but it's really not there at the right pace. So, just on a personal note, I started what I called Ascend to basically. It was during COVID, a little bit of spare time, no commuting, saved myself a 2-hour commute. I thought it was important, the more you mature in business, I've always had this great opportunity when I worked for Suez, which is one of the large environmental firms in the world, to do mentoring for young employees come in, and I haven't had that opportunity. But I also realized that I wasn't just mentoring somebody; I was learning about how they work and how they think and how we can work better So I started Ascend to really work with new entrepreneurs. I did it in my spare time. And I wanted to learn a bit about, how they think about the world, how they solve problems. So I did a little, we do some work with them, help them develop some marketing, help them develop some, go-to-market plans and things like that. Also work with some small, call it small to kind of mid-range investors on their, again, their ideas about what environmental investments make sense and things like that. And I took it as a learning advantage. It wasn't really about making money or anything like that. It was really about learning for me. And really, that's the only way you could do it. And the way to encourage innovation in our teams is basically give them the tools to do their job well and set them free and let them come back with the ideas and the great things that they do. We're fortunate in our company. We've got over 40% of our staff are masters and PhD level folks. So we're dreamers, but we also have to sometimes back off on the dreaming and do some of the daily business. So that's kind of the balancing act between the two. But so yeah, it's an ongoing process, and I think most people who've been in the industry like as long as I have, kind of face and fight this and kind of think about this challenge every day.
Definitely. And our podcast, Anthony, is all about vocal leadership. So, with the rise of social media, there's been increased asks of transparency from leaders. So, in your opinion, how has the role of executives' public voice evolved? And do you believe it's crucial for leaders and CEOs to be vocal and engaged in addressing societal issues? Or where do you see the balance of when to and when not to engage?
You know, that's a really good question, and it's probably like the biggest question of our day. You see so many things in the media about people either putting their foot in their mouth, going too far in one direction, not doing enough, and so on. So transparency is there whether you like it or not. So the bottom line is, we're in a world now where news travels immediately. So the bottom line is, you need to get in front of issues. Like we said, like I said before, in terms of the tech companies, a few years ago you couldn't get any information on how much water demand the data center had, and now they have big goals in net zero, and we know how much they're using, and we can help them solve that problem, right? So there's also a question of balance and the question of it depends. So you know do CEOs need to be vocal and engaged? Do they have to get involved with society? Absolutely. Years ago the whole premise of business, that kind of Milton Friedman, was all about everything is around the shareholder and everything else is nothing else is a concept, everything's a result, right? So the answer today is, there's a lot more to that. Are you creating good jobs? Are you helping contribute to society? Are you making some form of impact? Does your company do the right things behind the scenes so that they are doing? We use this term ESG now. All this reporting is great. If you ask 5 CEOs what it means, you probably get 10 different answers today because there isn't really a great standard on it. And we're making investment decisions based on that as well. So I think we do have to address societal issues, but I think we also have to be careful about going too deep where um, your opinion or your, how should I say this, kind of just because you feel really strongly about something, that's your personal conviction. So you shouldn't really impose that on an entire company, if I could say something like that. So there needs to be a balance where people could be the best version of themselves in a company.
Completely. So thank you for that, Anthony. And now wrapping up the podcast, our last question is looking ahead, what do you see as the future role of corporate leaders in shaping the broader social landscape?
Great question. So I think, if I go back to kind of through this podcast, I think there are a couple of themes here. Number one, for me, it's about tearing down walls. We need partnerships to get the job done. We can't do it alone. We can't isolate ourselves in terms of roles. You're an engineer, you're an equipment supplier, you're a constructor. you're a utility owner. It's got to be, we all have to put skin in the game to take care of that. I think the most important thing from our aspect is, we need to think of business success as not just your profitability and your size and your number of employees, but what impact can you create to the world? Are you solving the environmental concerns around your industry? Are you making sure people have a better standard of living? Are you making sure that the people have a safe workplace and things like that? Um, I know that it sounds kind of counterintuitive to partner when you can try to grab more of the pie on your own. But I think the challenges, as I said, they're just too big to solve alone. And not only are they big challenges, it's going to take a long time to solve them. So I think we're stronger. I think there's that old proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I truly believe that. And that's across the industry with all of our peers. One thing I'm seeing now, and I won't take up too much more of your time, but you used to see a few big giant companies in our field, and now you're seeing a lot more agile, innovative startup type companies. And that's really good for industry, and that's really helping accelerate things as well.
Very well said. So, thank you so much for stopping by the executive room. Great insights today into your industry, Anthony. Thanks so much for sharing them. And until next time.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.